Okay, this is part 2 of my video about my conversation with TSA. I'm going to start this particular letter that I was reading over again. TSA had just contacted me and told me that I asked them first of all to cite the law. They said it was the law. I asked them to cite the law, and they wrote me back and said courts have held and federal law requires, but they never cited any law because, of course, there is none. Okay, number one, this is my response to TSA. Number one, you used the phrase courts have held more than once, but you failed to say which court and in what circumstance. If you wish me to believe that courts have held anything, please provide me with case citations so that I can reference them and see whether or not what you are asserting is true. Otherwise, it is merely the claim of an unnamed person whose credibility is unknown. And that's true. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't have anybody's name. All I have is somebody that works for TSA telling me courts have held. What is that supposed to mean? Am I supposed to consider that authoritative? He can't even see me. Does he think that I look like a sheep? My goodness. I am a sheep, but I belong to Jesus, not the federal government. Praise the Lord. Number two, I said, you stated, quote, passengers who have started the screening process by walking through the walk-through metal detector are required to complete the screening process, unquote. May I take that to mean that if I refuse to start the illegal screening process in question, that I will not be required to complete it? Please answer this question decisively and with clarity. Now, I know when I asked that question that basically I knew the answer that I was going to get. I know that you have to go through the metal detector, but I kind of wanted to fish around and see what the person was going to say. Okay, number three. You stated, quote, federal law requires that commercial airlines must refuse to transport any passengers who do not submit to a search of their person and possessions, unquote. What federal law, please? I don't believe there is any such law, and if there were such, it would be void, because it would be illegal according to the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution of the U.S., which distinctly forbids it. I will await your reply. Thank you again for your time and attention in this most grave matter. That response that I sent to them was sent on the 11th of November. This whole conversation took place, let's see, when was the first? I sent them the first letter. I don't see the date of it. Their first response to me was on November 7th. So I sent them one, they sent me one, I sent them one, they sent me one. This all happened in a period of 4 days. And after the one on November 11th that I sent to them, there was no more reply. And finally, 4 days later, on the 15th, I sent them a reply and said, thank you for your time. I didn't think you would answer when confronted with valid law and right reason. You should be ashamed of yourself. You are a traitor and a criminal. Good day. This person that I spoke with at TSA did nothing but try to convince me that, number one, the things that they were doing are for my good, and number two, that they were polite and courteous about it, both of which are lies. He tried to convince me that what they were doing was legal by telling me that courts have held and federal law requires, but he never quoted me a law or what courts have held. So I don't believe that any courts have ever held, and even if they did, they would be in error because it's against the law. What TSA is doing in the airports when you go to get on an airplane is against the law. And if you don't stand up against them and say, no, you're not going to do that, it's against the law, then they'll get away with it, and they'll keep doing it more and more, and then pretty soon it'll be at the school and at the shopping mall and on the streets, and they'll be stopping you in your car. Checkpoints. They'll be stopping you on your way to your friend's house. You have to stop and pull over and get out of your car, show them your papers, submit to a pat-down. Is that what you want? Then that's what you'll have. If you don't take care of your freedom, then you will lose it. And I'm not in any way condoning violence. I'm not telling anybody to get a gun or do any shooting or kill anybody in defense of yourself or of your home. I'm telling you to use your mouth politely, with courtesy, as a soldier would, and stand up for your rights and say, I am an American, I am a free man, and I will not submit to things that are against the law of this country that I was born in. Period. Okay? It is against the law for anybody to compel me to submit to a search of my person, effects, papers, or my house, unless, number one, they have reasonable suspicion to do so, and number two, they have a warrant supported by oath or affirmation specifying a certain thing that they are looking for. And if they have that, then I will submit. If not, then I won't. And if they tell me that I can't leave the airport and that I'm going to be fined, then my question would be, well, for what? Have I committed a crime? And if they want to detain me without me having committed a crime or giving them any reason to detain me, then they will be under arrest for false arrest and several other things. Okay? I'm a man, I'm an American, and I have the right to arrest somebody for false arrest. I have the right to arrest somebody for sexual harassment. I have the right to arrest somebody for illegal search and seizure, or illegal search. I have the right to arrest anybody for breaking any law in the United States of America. You don't need to be a police officer to arrest somebody. Now be careful what I'm telling you. I'm not giving you legal advice, and I'm not telling you to go around arresting people, because there are certain things that you have to know in order to arrest somebody and do it without getting yourself in trouble or getting anybody hurt. But I want you to know that you are sovereign. If you live in the United States of America, you were born here, you're a man or a woman. You're not a corporation, you're not a citizen, you are a human, you're a man or a woman, and you have inalienable rights that were given to you by your Creator, and among those is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and you do not have to submit to the tyranny that is being imposed upon you by the federal government, or rather the corporation that calls itself the federal government of this country. I want you to know that, and this is perhaps a departure from the doctrine of Jesus Christ. It's not contrary to it, but it's not directly related to it either. But it's just something that I felt that I had to get off my chest. I wanted to share with you this conversation that I had with TSA to show you what a bunch of clowns they are, to show you what a bunch of fakers they are, to show you that what they're doing is based on nothing. Their pretended authority is based on nothing. They are nothing more than glorified Walmart security guards. They have no authority any more than you or I do. Exercise your authority, or you will lose it. You know, I love Alex Jones. He gets a little out of control sometimes, and sometimes he gets a little over dramatic. But I was watching one of his videos yesterday, and he said, I wrote it down. He said, "This is the official no-fly. We're not your slaves. You're not sticking your hands down our pants. No-fly day." And he's been encouraging everybody to strike the airlines for the last couple of days by not flying. And I think that's wonderful. If you don't have to fly, don't fly. Don't get on those airlines. If they want to submit you to that, you know, if I was going to go to a store, a grocery store, and that grocery store was allowing rent-a-cops to be outside frisking people on their way in, I wouldn't go to that grocery store anymore. I just wouldn't do it. And why would you? That doesn't make any sense. So, take care of your freedom. This is Brother Clint.